crew we have for you today. First, Mangone, as you see, looking as handsome and spry as ever. You should have seen DC's face when he saw me. He was expecting title. He was quite disappointed, and I kind of saw his soul leave his body a little bit. That was disappointing. And I'm Holden. What's up? We got a great baseball show for you today. Coming up on the Up to Lock show, Tony, JSU, myself, we're going to break down this 4-game NBA slate tonight. So, Mangone, this will be our last 4-gamer probably, right?
Unless the series don't close tonight, then you'll have a 4-gamer on Friday. The same thing. We'll just run it back. So that's what you need to have happen, which it's certainly possible they don't all get closed out. I mean, Memphis could easily win their game, right? I think Cleveland easily could win their game. It's not the craziest thing. And then what's the other closeout game? Because the Warriors game is obviously not a closeout game. And then we have, the Bucks. The Bucks, you're assuming they don't get closed out. So there's a chance on Friday we have to run back another 4-game slate. I already looked at the schedule. Tomorrow's just 1 game, but it's the NFL draft. And if you want NFL draft content, trust me, we got tons of it on the YouTube channel. You can check that out. But overall, we got a chance at another 4-gamer, Holden. So I'm kind of hoping the dogs are barking tonight. Hoping we get the upsets.
We got a little 8-gamer here, DC, on the baseball side. Before I get into this, I just want to let everybody know, first of all, congratulations to DK. I went into the Discord. Dude took down the 444 this afternoon, 150K, and then I see all the screenshots. It's absolutely amazing how many people won on this afternoon slate. So we're going to try and run it back here on the night slate as well. But, DC, here we go. The content works again. You go in there, you check out the core plays, you check out the playbook, you do some of your own research. You throw questions at our guys in the Discord. I mean, once in a while, you're going to have a nice day. So that's what happened again. What's going on, DC?
Yeah, not too much. You always got to pay the piper. Yesterday, I was expecting to do a show with you. A title shows up, made my day. But today, it's what goes around comes around, and you get Holden here. I do got to give a shout out to whoever does the graphics, leaving Title's face up there. Lure the people in here with the promise of Title Town. Don't scare them away early with that
was me.
Pre-show, yeah, exactly. So
that was me.
That was a smart marketing move by who's ever in charge of that. So shout out. Is that Helmet? Might be Helmet. Shout out to Helmet.
Yeah. Shout out to Steve Boynton, who still does not know how to talk shit after all these years. Step up, buddy. I mean, he just gets shit on in the Discord, and then he comes out here and he tries to talk shit. You know who the most improved shit talker is? The guy we're working with, DC, Mangone. I mean, he came in like a little cherubic infant, and now he's like in high school now, man. He knows how to talk. It's good to see.
He gets feisty. Mangone gets feisty. I will say, one of the things that surprised me the most, learning last year at the Run Beer Sports Party, Uncle T is like the king shitster of all shitsters. I didn't really necessarily expect that. He kind of comes off like a nice guy in the Discord for the most part, but in real life, man, he does like to stir it up a little bit.
Okay, I just want to throw this up here from Poe, DJ, and Stoner. Wake and bake, dude. It's almost 3:00 in Colorado. It's like 5:00 on the East Coast, man. You didn't play the early slate. I mean, I didn't sleep until 2:30 in the afternoon. Seriously. I don't even think Title does that. No way. And then Uncle T not happy with DC right now. Not happy at all. Not
It was a compliment, Uncle T.
He didn't think that. He didn't think that whatsoever. So like button, all that BS going into that. Hit the like button. What do we need, Mangone? Are we going to set it later? Can we set it now? I'd like 250. I don't know if it's possible.
We got 189 watching. Let's give it a little bit. Let's let it marinate for a second. We'll revisit it. We got to make sure. Listen, we got baseball, we got basketball. We got a lot going on today, so I like to be impressed. I'll say that. Holden, sometimes a number maybe isn't the correct one. I want to just look at the likes and feel satisfied. So I don't know. Maybe that's what we'll go with.
Okay. Well, Jay Burton too. Here, I wrote your name too, Jay Burton, because you had a nice one. Had a good early slate. Roll it over the main slate. Sign up right now. I never use my code. Today, I'm just going to do it. Holden 15% off your subscription for the first month of a monthly plan. If you haven't tried it, I mean, we're on a run, so you might as well get in right now.
Does that come with a free 1-week subscription to your OnlyFans account?
I might need to open one here pretty soon, buddy. I might need to open one here pretty soon. It's desperate times on the social media side. In my house.
What I want to see is Holden's OnlyFans bill every month. That thing's got to be on the triple digits.
No, it's not. It's very.
I don't believe you, but okay.
He actually shares logins with Kurt, so that's why it's under triple digits.
I've never been on the site. Did go out with a couple of them. It was wonderful, and I'm still here to talk about it. So let's get into business, boys. Before we talk DraftKings and FanDuel, DC, anything pitching wise that kind of stands out to you as far as pricing differences? I mean, we've got Elder 10-9 on FanDuel. Senga's the most expensive on DK at 10-6. And Alcantara's down at 9-8 now on FanDuel. He's the second highest priced pitcher. What are some of the discrepancies we're seeing here in pitching?
Yeah, it's kind of a tough pitching slate, I think. The best pitcher on this slate by far, just talent-wise, is Sandy Alcantara, obviously coming off the Cy Young season, but he's been not quite as sharp this year. Has had a couple good starts, but a couple of blow-ups as well. And then he did have his start. He was scratched over the weekend. He was supposed to start with bicep tendonitis. So yeah, that makes you nervous, right? And then obviously pitching against the Braves is one of the best offenses in baseball. So he's kind of off the list for me, which normally on this type of slate he would be a guy that you would go to. Top price guy, Kodai Senga, I do think has the highest upside of anyone on the slate with his ability to miss bats, but he's not exactly reliable either. Really bad control for him, and I think you look at this matchup against the Nationals, and I think he could absolutely rack up the strikeouts. But he's the type of pitcher where I do think he's capable of a bad start against almost anybody. When you have control that you just don't know where the ball's going half the time. Sometimes it doesn't matter who you're facing, right? If you can't throw strikes, it oftentimes doesn't matter. So I think he's the highest upside, but also somewhat risky, especially at that 10.6K price tag. Bryce Elder, you do get the tremendous matchup here. We saw Spencer Strider, then Charlie Morton absolutely mow down this Marlins team. It's a really bad lineup, but I'm just not convinced yet on Bryce Elder. I know he's been really good to start the year. I kind of think he's going to come back to earth sooner rather than later. So that $9,400 price tag doesn't look great. That's kind of the top end of it. Taijuan Walker, Logan Gilbert, and Hunter Brown round out the 9K range. I'm not honestly in love with any of those three either. Definitely wouldn't play Taijuan Walker. I think Gilbert's okay, but don't love the matchup, honestly, in Philadelphia. He's usually much better when he's at home. And then, I don't know, I'm not picking on Tampa Bay with Hunter Brown here. So, man, that's a 9K range. Really, Kodai Senga among those, 6 pitchers is really the only guy that I'm considering for my own lineups. I do think Bryce Elder is looks like come in pretty high owned. Is that right, Mangone? I think people are going to go to the Bryce. I get it. Big favorite, low total for Miami. I just a little bit hesitant with that price tag. So that's kind of the top end of it. Obviously, we can talk about the cheaper pitchers as well, which is where I'm going to live on most of my lineups tonight. But yeah, among the top end, Senga is the guy that I like the best.
Mangone, what do we got for pitching here? And the first guy I'm going to throw out here is Mackenzie Gore. I know it's a lefty going against the Mets, but this kid's just got really good stuff, and he's not gonna probably get you a 30 burger, but at 7.5 on DK, can I get some thoughts on him real quick? And then what's the pitching pool tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not dying to attack the New York Mets. I'll at least say that. But it's definitely a slate that you don't need a huge score at pitching. Let's at least start there. One reason I made a case for Martin Perez one slate is I was like, I don't need a big score, right? I'm just trying to get some double digits and move on. So that's sometimes a way to think about a slate is, hey, you don't have to chase the upside. I think you're going to see a split at the top. It's not going to be a huge split. You're not going to see a 50-50 type of split, but the two highest owned pitchers are probably going to be Senga or Elder. One, Senga is just the highest priced guy. Typically, the highest priced guy just gains ownership naturally. Typically, is going to be one of the better raw point guys on the slate. He gets a matchup against the Nationals, has a 5.5K strikeout prop. I mean, things line up for Senga really well. I think it's a good spot. Just depends how much money that you want to spend. So I think that Senga definitely is really good play. Elder's the one in debate because, again, very similar play to Senga. If you look at kind of just numbers-wise, 5.5 strikeout prop, similar projection, cheaper salary, but he gets a good matchup also against Miami. Things do check out that both these pitchers seem pretty close. So it's just one of those toss-up, take whoever you think is best and call it a day. For me, I'd probably lean Senga just because of how bad Washington is. I think they're just much worse than Miami. Obviously, you have Jazz in that lineup for Miami. So I would lean Senga if I had to pick one. But yeah, Elder, perfectly fine. Alcantara is in the conversation, but Alcantara obviously has a way tougher matchup against the Atlanta Braves. That's one that you're a little more concerned about. He's going to come in at like maybe half the ownership as those other two, though, in my opinion. So if you want to play that ownership game and it makes sense, go for it. For me, I'm not dying to get to Alcantara. My top option is Senga. If I had to pick one, I'm going with him. I'd probably put Elder number 2. I don't see the Braves bats getting some ownership. If the Braves bats are getting ownership and I'm not realizing it, then I think you could make a case for some a little bit more leverage with Alcantara, but I just don't think that's the case. And these options below, I'm just not really that excited about. I think it's going to be going down to the bottom like DC talked about. There's a couple good options that are projecting pretty well that I just think people like should be on. I mean, there's some good matchups. So for me, it seems like one of those nights, either double spend down for pitcher or you grab one at the top and then you grab one at the bottom. I don't see myself grabbing 2 at the top. It just doesn't seem like the route I'm going to go. You could make a case like Hunter Brown is a guy that we've rostered a little bit this year, but the problem with him is what's he doing? He's going up against Tampa Bay. Not the easiest spot for him. It just makes a lot of sense, especially with the way the slate is structured and the bats that we're going to get to and talk about. There are some really good bats that we're going to want to spend on this slate. So I think at the end of the day, it's a really simple one. You pick your pitcher up top, or you punt it down low with a couple of pitchers and call it a day. For me, Senga's my number 1, and I would say Elder probably ends up coming in as my number 2.
DC, how low can you go? Can you go to Contreras tonight? Can you go to Ronzi? Is it that type of a pitching night?
You could definitely spend down in pitching. That is my preferred route tonight. Probably not with Roasny Contreras. I don't think he's the worst play in the world, but obviously relatively tough matchup against the Dodgers. But there are a few pitchers, really 3 guys down here that I think are going to make up the majority of my own teams. My favorite of the bunch, Patrick Sandoval, hasn't been great so far this year, kind of 3 or 4 mediocre starts for him. But he gets this matchup against the A's. It's going to be one that we're going to pick on both sides of the ball, frankly, all year long. His team's not going to get any better. If he can get through 5 innings, frankly, he's probably going to get a win, which, that doesn't matter that much when you're talking high-end pitchers. But when you're talking a $6,500 pitcher on a slate where we don't really expect huge pitching scores, those 4 points or 6 points on FanDuel can go a long way. So Sandoval is my favorite of the bunch. Second, I've got Steven Matz. Again, he's been bad to start the year, but gets to pitch in San Francisco, a Giants team that does have some power, but also a lot of strikeouts in that lineup. I've watched most of Matt's starts. I do think he's due for some positive regression coming here. I think he is a solid number 3 starter in a pretty good spot. He's 6K. I am seeing him maybe be the highest owned pitcher on the slate. You normally don't see that for a 6K type pitcher, but I do think people look like they're on to Matz for good reason. I think Matz and Sandoval both will have some pretty big ownership. And then the guy that I like that maybe will go a little bit more under the radar is Drew Smyly, who has looked really good through 4 starts, including a 10 strikeout, 0 walk gem against the Dodgers. Gets to pitch at Wrigley Field. It's 42 degrees, wind is blowing in. We know that park. Obviously, when it's hot and wind's blowing out, it's the best hitter's park in baseball. But the opposite is true when you get a day like this. It's just really hard to score runs in Wrigley Field in this type of weather. This Padres team, a lot of big names in that lineup, but they really haven't been hitting very well. I mean, Soto, Machado have not gotten going whatsoever. So I think people maybe look at the lineup for the Padres, kind of get scared off of Smyly, but he's been great. 3 starts in a row. Metrics look pretty good for him. I wonder how long he can kind of keep this up. But, yeah, I'll take a shot on Drew Smyly. So, really, those 3 guys down there, I rank them Sandoval 1, Matz 2, Smyly 3. But, yeah, a combination of 2 of those guys will make up most of my player pool. And then occasionally, if I'm going to a cheaper stack or something like that, Kodai Senga, the guy that I will spend up for. So, really, those 4 pitchers, I get it with Bryce Elder. I think he's going to be overowned. I think he's overpriced, and I'm going to go a different direction. I understand that play, but yeah, he would be 5th for me. So yeah, that's pretty much it for pitching those 4 guys for me. Again, that's Sandoval, Matz, Smyly, and Kodai Senga, the 4 guys I'm looking at tonight.
You get the whole pool from DC. You can get his pitching pool. You can get his whole player pool at runpuresports.com. So check that out. Holden 15. Mangone, any other thoughts pitching, or are we ready to move on?
I mean, DC talked a lot about these pitchers, and there's pretty good ones. I think he's spot on. Sandoval, definitely the best one, but I think he's the highest owned, which is fine. I'm okay with it. It's the Oakland A's. We know how bad they are. So, yeah, I think Sandoval is definitely the best option. I agree with Steven Matt's take, but he is going to get some ownership, and Steven Matt's ownership is always slightly concerning. So something to think about when kind of building out your lineups of how much exposure do you really want of him. Like if you run let's say you go in and run Saberson, I'm like, you get like 80% Steven Matz. Like I get it. Steven Matz is a good play, but like, do you need that much? Like that's all I'm getting at. Like we know he can be blow up prone. I want to be overweight, but I don't think I want to be too overweight. I'd say that. I like the Drew Smiley idea. I think that's a really interesting option. The Padres offense has been struggling. I think that makes a ton of sense. And then I don't hate Michael Wacha. It's a little bit of an off the board one. I mean, I don't know what happened the 2 starts before, but he took the Atlanta Braves down and threw 10 strikeouts. And then like the next 2 starts was an absolute disaster.
I think that start against the Braves, it was like 42 degrees and like rainy and windy in Atlanta. I watched that start. I do think that was kind of just one of those fluke performances. It seemed like the Braves kind of mailed it in from the get-go.
Well, do you know what the temperature is in Chicago tonight?
Yeah, 42 degrees. There you go.
42 degrees, the wind blowing in. That's all I'm saying. So that's the reason. It's not because I like Michael Wacha. It's not because I think this guy's an ace and going to go on the mound and I want him to, be my number 1 pitcher on my MLB franchise team that I'm starting. I just think the weather is in play and the ownership is so low. And we've seen the upside from him just this season. And no one's going to click on someone who's had 2 negatives the past 2 starts. It's going to be a single digit owned guy that not one person considers. And yes, we want to kind of spend down a little bit at pitcher, but like if you play Sandoval and then like you spend for like a Michael Wacha at 8.3, which isn't even really spending, you can get whatever bats you want. I mean, it's really simple. So that's about it. I know Alex is asking in the chat. Maybe you can answer this question.
The Greek Freak. The Greek Freak.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, look at that last name. Yeah, it definitely can't be anything but Greek. No Logan Gilbert, DC?
He's okay. I just don't like this matchup in Philly on the road. Obviously, a really good hitting environment, a bunch of powerful lefties in that lineup. I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with it, but yeah, he'd be like 6th for me probably after Elder.
Do you see a couple things that happened here? Robbie Ray's out for the year. He's having reconstructive surgery. Jordan Walker just got sent down to AAA. That's a little disappointing.
Is a good thing for Seattle. It's going to help them. So
yeah, I'm a little disappointed about Walker though, man. This kid he tore it up in spring. He had a couple good games early, and now he's not there. And then Boss Bro with the statement of the day. He's planting his flag. I wouldn't play Wacha if it was -10. Like degrees, or the price would be -10 because that would open up some salary.
I think he's talking degrees, but I listen, Holden. I'd probably pitch you out there if it was -10 degrees.
Don't do it.
You wouldn't even. You would probably actually. You would be like, my arm's sore, and you get pulled from the game.
It actually does. It is sore. I mean, it is sore, man. Going. You wait till you're my age, everything's gonna hurt, pal. Anyways, what are we doing with the likies? With the likies here, Megan. What's the number we're looking at?
How many likes are we at right now? We have 307 watching.
I didn't look.
I'm a look. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Let's
Thank you very much.
I heard the people yesterday did not do a good job with the likes. So we need to bounce back here. 87. I mean, we haven't even gotten to 100. Let's push that home. Okay. We're at 317. I'm going to set the number at, you got to get to 175. Okay. 175. Push this thing home. Get us the likes. We got tons of content going on for you today. I got a golf show later on tonight that I got to do on the bench side. So be sure to come over and hang out and watch that. I got NBA content. I got MLB content. I'm doing 3 different sports today. So I want you to hit 175. It's a must.
Do it for Mangone. Do it for Mangone, please. If you're not going to do it for yourself, don't do it for DC, though. He literally does not care if you do it or not. He's getting paid no matter what. Kind of like who's an expensive player that just –
I do these shows for free, Holden. I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you? It's actually, we should know that. Riles Golf Pro. Not exactly how I would say it. Okay. I think that's a little aggressive, but you kind of get the gist there. You can also use my code Holden15 and you can get in right now. Again, you get so much here for one price. Best value, best analysts in the business, and it's not just baseball. Tonight we got a 4-game NBA playoff slate. Who's better than Big T and JSU? JSU just shipped 11K. Doesn't even tell anybody. Best player in the world. Best player in the world, Mangone. Best DFS player in the world, JSU. You know.
I like Steve Boynton's comment in the chat. Anthony Rondon is a good comp for Holden. Gets paid to show up now. That makes sense because JSU is Otani. He could be Mike Trout, right? It's a perfect combination there.
Ever since he got angry at me, he's been a shit ball player. I
wonder who Steve Boynton paid to write that joke for him. That's like the best. It's not great, but considering who it's coming from, it's pretty good for Steve.
Yeah, so, it's like you'll be like, okay, get a little head nod, tip the cap a little bit to that.
Yeah.
Rendon doesn't even like baseball. Like, I'm serious. He doesn't watch baseball. He doesn't like baseball. And right now he's playing like he doesn't like baseball. All right, we get to go game by game, and obviously we're boring the shit out of Mangone. There's nothing better than doing a show with Mangone and him just yawning. You're good for 2 or 3 yawns a show, Mangone. Did you just wake and bake?
No, I drink way too much coffee right now. So like I'm like waiting for like a crash that's like been waiting for like maybe months. So I think tomorrow's a perfect day to absolutely crash. There's not a lot of NBA. I don't know what MLB is going on, but it's probably not that big of a deal. And it's the draft. I just get to sit on my couch and watch people get picked and look at terrible takes on Twitter. So it should be a fun time.
Steve, you don't have to tell us what you're doing right now or the pain level that you're in. You can keep that to yourself, and that's all I'll say. Let's get into the games. Offenses. We got 8 of them, 16 offenses today. And we're going to start with the Pirates hosting the Dodgers. This Dodgers lineup is just not like it was in the past, DC. We still don't have a lineup for Pittsburgh, but what's the interest level here and throwing some Doyers out there against Roansy?
Yeah, I think the Dodgers make for, I would say, an interesting contrarian stack. They're not near the top of my list tonight. But yeah, I don't, Contreras has some talent for sure, but really hasn't put together the greatest results in the world. And this Dodgers team, like you said, it's not the same lineup that we've seen in the past. I think they've got like half their teams out for paternity leave. But they do have, I think, an interesting lineup here. I mean, we've seen Jason Hayward, it's a resurgence for him. I think the Dodgers kind of fixed, the 10-year slump that he was in since his rookie year with the Braves. So he's hitting third, for a reason, right? Like he's been swinging the bat well. James Outman has been absolutely on fire. I've kind of missed the boat for the most part on him, but yeah, I'm pretty much sold on Outman at this point. So I like him. Freeman, obviously, Freeman and Betts up top. They could do some damage here. I think they'll go pretty low owned. There's one team, no surprise probably for anyone that's watched my shows or read my content, but the Angels, I think, are by far the best spot of any team tonight. But I do like the Dodgers a little bit as a contrarian stack. Michael Busch hitting 6th. He's minimum price, first base, second base eligible, lefty swinger, a high prospect that can really swing the bat. So he's a really good cheap option. I like the stack quite a bit. Probably maybe third today on the list. My teams are going to be kind of centered around the Angels for the most part, but yeah, I think the Dodgers are a good way to go here.
What do we got? We got Vargas sitting here at 2,500 too. Bush is sitting at oh my God, Bush is 2K hitting 6th. That's a cheap stack right there. Michael Bush. Okay, Mangone, you want to do anything with the Doyers or the Pirates?
Yeah, definitely the Dodgers are in play, but I mean, this is not a great park, right? I definitely always like to look at the parks and the weather. I mean, it's not like Pittsburgh's this hitter's park. I think the Dodgers are definitely in play and fine. One thing to know, you got Michael Busch there, and I think Michael Busch is fine, but you do Mookie Betts, so you could slide at that second base position, and second base is never a fun spot to roster. Yeah, I know you can put Busch at first if you want, or Mookie in the outfield, but Mookie Betts definitely going to be good. Freddie Freeman, but Jason Hayward, listen, I don't need to roster Jason Hayward. Jason Hayward is just one of those guys I'm down to leave out of my Dodger stack. I'm happy to just hit the X. And the more you look at the Dodger stack, I think this team's fine, but you could make a case that the 5-man isn't as strong as maybe like a 2 or 3-man today. The 2 or 3-man maybe makes a little bit more sense on this slate. So I like Dodgers. Not my favorite stack, but definitely one that's in play.
But a little Dodgers 4, 5, 6, Outman, Vargas, Bush. Is that just going to kill you, DC? Not enough.
No, I like it. I like it a lot. I think, you can absolutely go to that. And most people that stack the Dodgers are obviously going to play Betts and Freeman at the top. So I think that's a pretty good contrarian way to go.
Little secondary stack there.
Yeah.
Like button would be great. Mangone said 175 is the number, so do 175. That'll make everybody happy. Don't forget, coming up after this show, premium show, best DFS player in the world, JSU. I don't know where Big T is these days. He's still top 5, but he's obviously no JSU. And then I'll be hosting the show, just along for the ride, trying to get you NBA winners and baseball winners. So we'll be doing both coming up in about, 50 minutes or so, a little less than that. Yeah, Mangone. It seems like you either wanted to yawn or say something, Mangone.
No, I'm just.
Okay, you wanted to yawn and you held it back. Good
no,
job.
I didn't. I held the yawn back earlier. Not at that time.
Oh, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. That means a lot to all of us. The Tampa Bay offense keeps rolling. They're hosting Houston tonight, and DC. We got Brown going to the mound, and he gets to see a Tampa Bay team that has not been able to hit the postseason for the last decade. Yet they've come out to start this season going absolutely bananas. Maybe you can address what Andrew Martinez is saying too. Maybe a little Astros mini stack here. Who are the plays from Tampa Bay and Houston?
Yeah, I think 2 somewhat sneaky offenses here. Hunter Brown, good rookie pitcher for the Astros, but I don't think he's someone that you necessarily have to avoid. I do think most people will avoid really both sides of this game. I think offensively are going to go under own, kind of a bullpen-ish game for Tampa Bay, which you don't love, but they are throwing Josh Fleming out there, who's been really bad. Problem is the Astros lineup really watered down right now. Obviously, Jose Altuve, who's been out all year. Now Jordan Alvarez looks like he might be headed to the IL with the little neck injury. So, I mean, outside of Tucker and Pena, who are you really excited to play in this Astros lineup? For me, not a ton. So I don't see myself going to this team, Houston, too much, despite the good matchup. I do think Tampa's more interesting. Again, I don't think anyone's going to play them. They've just been on fire, obviously, all year long, crushing the ball. That top 4, Yandy Diaz, Franco, Arozarena, Brandon Lau. I mean, they're doing big damage, it seems like, almost every single slate. So, yeah, they're sneaky. They're very expensive. And most people that are, paying down for pitching and up for hitters are doing it probably to get in kind of the same Angels bats that I want to get into. So this is a good way to get contrarian. I probably won't end up on it myself, but wouldn't want to talk anyone off Tampa. I do think it makes some sense.
Yeah, it's not a great lineup here for the Astros, though.
No, it's not at all.
Yeah, no Jordan. We've got that bottom 4 of that order. Is
I wish Tampa had a decent pitcher on the mound, because I would like to kind of pick on this lineup with the decent pitcher, but nobody you can use, I don't think, from Tampa here.
Calvin Freda-Foucher. Yes, Mangone. Do the Astros or Rays interest you this evening? Can I get some thoughts on the Astros lineup real quick, though? I don't know if you got it up there. I'll read it off real quick. Dubon, Pena, Tucker, Bregman, Abreu, and then Julks, Myers, Hensley, and Diaz. Ugh.
Well, it's bad, and it's the bullpen game, right? I mean, they're obviously going to have the first guy come out, and then Fleming's going to pitch out there however long they feel is best. It's not an ideal situation. And at the ballpark, it's bad, right? It's not a good hitter's park. You can make the argument that if there's a time to play bats in the Tampa Park, it is in April, right? I'll give you that. But this just doesn't seem like the spot on this slate. It seems like there's better spots to go to. If you want to get contrarian in other spots, there's other contrarian spots you'd rather get to. Like, for instance, Holden, I would much rather, and I know this is crazy, I'd much rather play the San Francisco Giants as a leverage play over Mats than take a chance on this game. I just don't see that much benefit to it, right? Like, it's just, I don't love it. So, overall, I think this is maybe the best fade, or one of the better fades on the slate. It's probably not the best one. It's probably that Wrigley game is probably the best fade of bats, but this is definitely not a game I'm going to.
Viewership is skyrocketing. It's time to get the likes up. Let's go. 175. Mangone wants it. But what Mangone wants, sometimes he gets. So let's get that going here. Our next game to roll through would be Seattle and Philadelphia. And I'm just a little bit of rain tonight. Not too worried about this, DC. I know you like to talk about the weather too. I'm not worried about it. Upper 50s, little itty-bitty breeze. So nothing to worry about in my estimation, but we got Logan Gilbert and Taijuan Walker, a couple of pitchers. Do we want to attack either one of these guys?
Yeah, this might be my favorite sneaky game for offense. I actually think you can go to either side of it. Like you said, you do prefer it to be warmer in Philadelphia, but 60 degrees with some wind blowing out in a good hitter's park isn't the end of the world. So I do think we could see home runs in this game. Jared Kelenic, man, what a start April he's had, right? Like 2 years ago, he was like the future star, couldn't hit, all the strikeouts. He was, I mean, he was going like pick 300 in season-long fantasy baseball. Really, just kind of people thought he was done, and he's been one of the stars of this year, all the way up to the 3-hole for the first time this year. I really, really like him. Maybe my favorite one-off on the entire slate is Jared Kelenic against Taijuan Walker, who isn't any good and has looked even worse this year. I think the Mariners do some damage. Obviously, Julio Rodriguez, shout out Steve Boynton, Ty France, play him. And then, really like Kelenic. Cal Raleigh is probably my favorite catcher on the slate. So I'm in on this Seattle offense for sure. And I think Philadelphia is a little bit sneaky too. Someone in chat mentioned how good Gilbert has been this year. That's true. He has been results-wise kind of lights out. But I don't think he's any better than he was last year, right? Where he was definitely a good pitcher, but not someone that you absolutely have to avoid. Not as good away from home. Brandon Marsh crushing the ball this year. We know what Kyle Schwarber can do. Trey Turner, Stott at the top of this lineup. I think Philadelphia probably my favorite sneaky stack on the slate. Nobody's going to play them, I don't think, against Logan Gilbert. Wouldn't be surprised if they did some damage here. So I do like the Philadelphia side quite a bit. And then specifically kind of Kelenic and Cal Raleigh at the top. But, yeah, Julio Rodriguez, obviously a good play as well. So I like this game for offense.
Yeah, I was looking at our premium Discord here, and there's a little bit of chatter on the Mariners tonight. So maybe getting a little bit different there. Yeah, Mangone, you're shaking your head. You like the M's?
Yeah, I think the Mariners make a lot of sense here. Is anyone scared of Taijuan Walker? No, Taijuan Walker definitely. And when he blows up, right? Like Taijuan Walker blows up. Like when it's bad, it's really bad. So you're hoping for the blow up spot. The Seattle Mariners also have the power to, like, when they get runs, right? Like their 5 runs are typically like bombs, right? They're a team that can hit home runs. An RBI single is not as valuable as a home run, which is something obviously to consider when kind of building out your fantasy team. So definitely like these Mariners. I think they're in play, and I prefer them over Philadelphia. It sounds like DC's a little higher on Philly. Hey, I'm a little higher on Seattle, but overall, Seattle's got a good lineup. I mean, Rodriguez, Ty France, Jared Kelenic, Suarez, Teoscar Hernandez, Cal Raleigh, AJ Pollock, Colton Wong, JP Crawford. Those guys at the bottom, yeah, they're kind of slap hitter-esque, right? But they can be annoying, JP Crawford and Colton Wong. So I do not mind this team overall. I think 1 through 9, it's all in play. The way I would personally handle Philly, and I think DC's right for a lot of the takes he brought up. I just prefer it as a mini stack because it's like kind of like if Logan Gilbert is kind of this guy that's just been pitching amazing and that same guy that we've kind of been seeing so far start this year, I still think there's routes where he could like give up a bomb or two, right? Or give enough runs where the mini stack could still work. Like no one's going to be shocked to see Logan Gilbert go out there, throw 6 innings, get 6 strikeouts, but he gives up a solo shot to Kyle Schwarber, right? And those like one-offs of them or the 2-man stacks, those are perfectly fine. So I'm fine with Philly from that perspective. Like when you go in and kind of build out your stacks, 5-man wise, I'm probably, if I'm getting a lot of Philly, I'll X them. If I'm only getting a little bit, that's fine. I'll keep it. But 2-man wise, I kind of want to get some Philly in there, but I love the Seattle stack. I think it's definitely a good one.
Okay. Like button would be wonderful. We're approaching about 400 watching the show. That's great. All Mangone wants is 175 likes. And then again, if you remember, you know what happened today. We had another shipper, the 444 in the early slate, as our guy who was a DK for 50K. And then I just look in the Discord, everybody prints all their winners. It's just big line, a lot of good things happening earlier this afternoon. See if we can redo that tonight. And I think we will. Hold it 15% off your subscription, a monthly plan, and the first installment there. Next game, Washington and the Mets, DC. So, Senga has not had the same performances the last couple of games, but from what I understand, at least listening to you, you still think there's a decent shot for him to clean up against this Nats offense. Anybody from the Mets that we want to target against the lefty Mackenzie Gore?
Yeah, I think, like you said, Senga, I think he definitely has a lot of upside in this matchup, but will he get there? We'll see. Kind of jury's still out for me, at least, on Senga. I do think he will have very big games, but he's also going to have blow-up spots. I actually don't hate – if you want to get way off the board, I don't hate stacking this Washington team. You'll get them all 1% for a pitcher who can get super wild, we don't know a ton about. If you're playing one lineup, I wouldn't do it, but I do think it's just a stack against a pitcher who I think is going to be prone to blow-ups throughout the year. So that's that side of it. Again, if I was going to go anyone against Senga, it would just be the full-on stack. It's a bet against him way more than it's a bet against a bet on Washington, who obviously has a very, very bad offense overall. The Mets, I think, are somewhat interesting against Mackenzie Gore. Like you said, Holden, he has looked pretty decent so far this year, but Mets just have so much power in the middle of that lineup. I mean, that top four, Nimmo's been awesome, and then Marte, Lindor, Alonso, those three right-handed power hitters against the lefty Gore, and then, of course, a horrible bullpen behind him as well. Does make some sense. So, yeah, Mets aren't the top of my list. Kind of, somewhat respect Mackenzie Gore here, but they do make a lot of sense. Pete Alonso, obviously, a tremendous one-off tonight as well, if you want to go that direction.
Mangone, can I interest you in some Mets tonight against Mackenzie Gore?
Yeah, you can definitely interest me in some Mets against Mackenzie Gore. I mean, they just have so much power in that lineup. Obviously, it's not this spot where like the weather's incredible, but it's not bad, right? And it's a slate where there's no real just absolute smash weather spot. I guess you could say maybe the Angels, but I never get excited about the LA weather in general. So it's more so the other spots that just aren't great is what makes the LA spot even better. But overall, I do think this Mets team definitely in play. A lot of people, when they see lefty, what do? Guys like Brandon Nimmo, they just kind of leave off the list at 4.2K. I won't be leaving him off the list. Think he's definitely worth talking about. Starling Marte is 5K. Lindor 4.8. Pete Alonso, you got that 5.9 tag. But listen, if you build a Mets stack, make sure to get Pete Alonso in there, right? Sometimes when people are kind of building out their teams, they kind of sacrifice for something else. Don't leave Big Pete off your stack. If the Mets put up 9 runs, he's probably a part of it. So, yeah, it's a way to make your teams different at times. I totally understand that. And if you wanted to replace it for a Shohei Ohtani, I could understand it. But for me, I want to make sure I have Pete Alonso in there on my teams. Mark Canha, then it's O'Neill or McNeil, Tommy Pham, Escobar, and Thomas Nino. Listen, I don't need to play as what's his name says from Barstool, Frank the Tank. Easy out Escobar. I don't need to play easy out Escobar. He's terrible. Don't need to play Thomas Nino. He's not a great hitter either. Keep it simple. Play these guys that are towards the top within the stack. Find other ways to be different. I think Jeff McNeil is probably my favorite of the 5, 6, 7 spot. And I don't hate Tommy Pham at 3.4K just against the lefty. I think he could be the guy to be different if you wanted to. So overall, this spot for these Mets, I think they're going to be one of the stacks you want to target on this slate.
Zach Neto over Tomas Nido. Is that what we're going to do here? The Angels lineup's out there, DC, and I know you're just chomping at the bit to talk about it. I'm interested in hearing from you, but we do have some games before we get to that one. Like button would be great. Atlanta, Miami is the next game that we're going to talk about. Whew, Alcantara, so a little hesitant to run him out there just because of the biceps. Elder, on the other hand, any reason to go to this game with the exception that we're getting leverage on the rest of the field?
Yeah, I think this is at least worth talking about. We know Elder's going to be highly owned. Jazz Chisholm, we saw Charlie Morton have that big game, but Jazz Chisholm did take him deep. We could see a similar thing here where Elder pitches well, but Jazz does the damage. I do like him as a one-off a lot at the top of the lineup. Luis Arias swinging a really good bat. So you could play those guys. I mean, the Marlins, they haven't performed well. They do have some reasonable hitters near the top of that lineup. So, yeah, I kind of like those Jazz guys or the Marlins guys, Jazz in particular, as one-offs if you're not on Elder. And then the Braves, I think, are another team, obviously on the Braves pretty often. Like I said, Alcantara got scratched in his last start with, a sore arm, essentially. He's a guy who kind of prides himself on, going deep into games, never missing starts. It's at least possible that he is not 100% here coming into the start, right? Trying to pitch through a little injury. We don't know for sure. But the fact of the matter is he couldn't make his last start because his arm was sore. And listen, if he's a diminished version of himself or, has to come out of the game early or something, this Braves team obviously has the power to absolutely punish the Marlins if there's something up with Alcantara. I think obviously the most likely thing is he's fine. He's his normal self. It's good to go. It doesn't work out. But nobody's going to play the Braves against Alcantara. And we don't know for sure what kind of version of Alcantara we're going to see tonight. So, and plus he hasn't been that great in general this year to start it off. So, yeah, I do like the Braves as a way off the board stack here. And, you kind of don't want to wish injury on anybody, but that's kind of the theory, I guess, behind going with the Braves. It would probably be another one where kind of like going up against Senga, where it's more of a bet against, that something's up with the pitcher, it doesn't go right for them than it is. Obviously the Braves way better lineup, but yeah, I do like them as kind of a sneaky stack, but I would make sure to, get all five in there and, hope that something's up with old Sandy there.
Mangone, I don't know. I'm looking at your facial expression. It doesn't seem like you're thrilled to go to this game. Could be wrong. Do you want to pick anything off from the Atlanta side? And as Butthole says, Acuna, Hilliard, they can run free. I mean, you got to get on against Alcantara first.
Yeah, I'm see, this is the problem with doing baseball sometimes. So, like I'm looking at this Angel spot, and I always like to fade the chalky spot, but it's going to be a hard chalk spot to fade today. I'll say that. That's all I'm going to get to.
Yeah, I'm talking about all these teams, but like the truth is we could have just skipped the whole show and said stack the Angels, right? And get out of here in 7 minutes.
Yeah, like that
I refuse to play Rendon, by the way. I can't
don't play Gio Urshela instead. Gio's in the lineup, right? Just play him at third base if you want. You don't need to, but yeah, I was just kind of building out an Angels team and trying to see, like, how can I make it different, right? Like, that's kind of what I was going through. So I agree with DC. Like, Jazz is not a bad one-off. Like, this isn't a spot where I'm going to go in and I'm going to, like, X the Marlins, but I'll X the 5-man stacks. I won't X the 2-mans and the 1-mans, probably 3-mans. I normally like to run 5-2-1s, though, typically, not as much 5-3s. So, yeah, I don't think I'm getting to Jazz, I don't think I'm getting to a Marlins 5-man on this slate, but I think Jazz will one-off is perfectly fine. Braves, yeah, so like you can make the case that like basically like anytime the Braves aren't chalk, they should be in the conversation. It is Alcantara though. Like this is not a super ideal spot. Like I'm down to target the Braves when like and play the Braves and they're super low owned, but I don't know. I just don't think I'm going to get there here on this slate to this point.
I will say their total has been climbing throughout the day up to 4.3 now, which is probably, I don't think there was a 4.3 total against Sandy Alcantara the entirety of last year. No. So I don't know.
And like the Cardinals, for instance, like I think theirs is like hovering right below 4.5. Like it's similar to them, and like the Cardinals are popping up as a team that people want to play. Like, the Braves shouldn't get completely ignored whenever they're just going to be 1%. It's just
they will, right? They're going to be super low owned, right?
Yeah, no one will play them.
The only guys playing them are Gary and JT Hayes. Those are the two guys that'll be.
Gary's in Thailand, so I don't think he's playing him. But you never know. Maybe
he'll find a way. He'll find a way.
Did he go with anyone else, or did he go by himself?
I think he went for work. I don't know. What is work? Yeah. I don't know. So.
See if he comes back or if he's in prison for a long time.
You watch some ping pong, right? Yeah.
He does like ping pong. He likes watching it. So if you know, DC, that was a nice little smooth throw in there.
We got the ping pong champ here. So, yeah, I had to bring
we got the ping pong champ here, and Gary might be watching a lot of ping pong. Not on the table, though. So, once again, where are we on the likes, man? Going, you got it up there. You got it up there, buddy.
We are at 173. The people are fighting. And you know what, Holden, we're at 173, so we need 175 for the plays of the day. Wow. We're still powering through the show. I'll say this. Let's get to 225 and gears being given now. How's that sound?
Whoa, gears? 225?
Yep. 225. I'm sending the message over. We'll find someone in the chat. Someone will pick a comment or two. And we'll give away the gear. I'll contact Amber, or you'll contact me, and then I'll contact Amber after the show.
I think anybody that responds to Robert's thing is, we'll try and pick one of those.
If we can get a good comment, I definitely would like that. We got to get the likes in, though. That's the key.
What is Thailand known for? Ping pong. And very shady that a single man would go there, even if he says it's work. So I just used air quotes for the first time.
Gary's not single though. Gary's got a lady, I think. So
okay. Well,
but yeah, I mean, he might not have. Maybe he doesn't
know what he's doing in
Thailand.
Yeah, she doesn't know what he's doing over there. Okay, next game. We got 3 left. San Diego and the Chicago Cubs. So we already kind of like Smiley a little bit here, right, DC? What about targeting Michael Wacha with a potent Cubs lineup? But the problem is it's just cold. It's just gross. You're not getting home runs, are you? You're just getting manufactured runs.
Yeah, you'll almost never find me playing offense in Wrigley when it's 40 degrees with the wind blowing in, and that'll be the case tonight as well. So, yeah, I like Smiley quite a bit. I think Mangone brought up Wacha. I don't think he's the craziest play, but I'm not going to any offense here.
Okay, I'm just going to I'm going to time out. I'm going to hit the pause button here just for a second. Do not respond to what is Thailand known for. This is going in a horrible direction. I regret my decision to say that this would be a good idea. So we'll just pick somebody else out once we get to 225 likes. Whew, Mangone. Cubs Padres, talk to me.
Yeah, someone said the titty slap the like button.
Yeah, we don't need to do that.
It's just absurd. But
we don't need to do that.
This is a game I'm not playing. If there's a game that's probably like the obvious fade for me, it's this one. If someone in a 40-degree weather game beats me with the wind blowing in, it beats me. I will take my L. I will move on to tomorrow, and I'll become a NFL draft expert all day long on Twitter.com. So that'll be what I do if this game goes over.
Okay, good. So that means there's 2 games left. I'm not even going to go to the game that we love so much because I want everybody to stick around for that one. It's San Francisco, St. Louis time. Who wants to play a baseball game out in the Bay Area? Actually, it's kind of warm right now in the 60s, but I can't imagine people are playing very many bats from this game. Although, no, I can't imagine it, DC. I just can't.
Yeah, I think you're right. This game will go low owned, except for Steven Matz will be obviously one of the, I think, more highly owned pitchers on the slate. You get it, 6K, he's a decent arm. Pretty good matchup here against San Francisco. Strikeouts to be had. I like Steven Matz obviously quite a bit. Probably will end up in my cores tonight. If you're not on Matz, though, I do think some of these Giants bats are pretty good plays. Estrada, JD Davis, Wilmer Flores. They got Mitch Haniger back the other day. And we know Matz is going to be popular. So this is a perfect spot to pick off, a one-off or a mini stack, try to get a couple home runs off Matz, who does give up power to lefties. So, yeah, on my non-Matz teams, I'm going to try to get in some of these power San Francisco bats. David VR down at the bottom, I think, is a decent way to go too. But like I said, I do like Matz. He will be certainly on a decent number of my own teams. Desclafani is a pretty good pitcher, but I don't know. I don't really want to pick on the Cardinals here. I'm not really going to either side of that matchup. So, yeah, I like Matz. And then if you're not on Matz or on any teams you're not on Matz, I do think some of these San Francisco bats are pretty interesting.
I mean, you already gave us your cockamamie stack at 1% with Washington. Hey, listen, maybe half of you are sleeping or you're watching NBA and this is a 16-run baseball game. Not so much. Mangone, you want to do this?
Yeah, I don't love this game. It's just, for me, like, the Cardinals are fine, but I don't need to target Desclafani. He's not a guy, and this ballpark's not what I love to target. And on top of that, I think you can make the case that the San Francisco side is the better side than the Cardinals, just because similar run totals, and Matz is already chalky. And listen, I'm with DC. I like Steven Matz as a pitching option tonight, but at his ownership, and then when you combine the ownership along with the leverage opportunity with the San Francisco team that has some power and pop, I just wouldn't ignore them, right? JD Davis at third base, think he's in play. Mitch Haniger, obviously you can't ignore him and his power. We don't have the lineup right now yet, but once we get it, that'll obviously dictate what we do with it. Wilmer Flores, we know he's part of the big platoon 44 team against the lefty. I mean, how could you ignore him in this spot? We know he's got power and pop. All I'm getting at is, think about this team versus the Cardinals. Cardinals are being pushed on the teams, and I just don't think it makes that much sense compared to the leverage that you can gain. Yes, I understand Steven Matz, good projected play and everything, but there's just a lot more leverage. On a shorter slate, I don't hate it. I mean, it's not a 15-gamer, right? And it's not a 5-game slate, but it's something to think about. But regardless, this is a game, 8.5 total. I'm not super excited about. There's other games that I liked and other stacks that I like that we talked about. So this is a game I will definitely be lower on.
One game left, so I'm going to give you a spiel one more time. Oh, and also Big T's player pool is – I don't know what's going on. His player pool is up this early. Now you basically have to –
Probably because of the NBA slate. The NBA
That's what I'm saying. Now I have to
before gamer, and it feels like the last hurrah of like a really good guaranteed slate. Like we could have one on Friday, and like the weekend ones, like Saturdays and Sundays, will be okay. But those are still like kind of like all day events. Like they're not the exact same things.
No. This is interesting. Really interesting slate here. Now that I'm building lineups a little bit. So Tony's got all of his stuff up. Big T has all of his stuff up right now. What do you get when you sign up? You get Tony's Major League Baseball player pool. So you get his favorite pitchers, you get his favorite stacks, you get his favorite one-offs, and then 5 or 6 guys at every single position that's in his player pool. It's not just him. It's the greatest DFS player in the world, JSU. Those two will be on the Up to Lock show with me coming up in just a little bit. You get all of DC's content, MLB, NBA, golf. It's just I'm looking at this thing here. NASCAR, MMA, NHL, tennis. Oh, Susie and the tennis team kicking ass. USFL's coming up. So great stuff going on here. Hold it 15% off. And I also just want to say this. Look at this person that put this in here. Oh, I just busted myself because it says Run Pure Sports DFS. Okay, so DC, we got one game, and this is the one that you think is going to be super chalk, correct? Oakland at the Angels, and not only does Oakland have question marks at starting pitcher, they've got the bullpen from hell.
They do. This team is giving up on average more than 8 runs per game, which is absolutely insane a month into the season. Today they call up Luis Medina to make his MLB debut. Can you imagine how bad the pitchers on the A's are that aren't good enough to be on the team already, right? They got to call them up from the minor. So listen, team total year 6 for the Angels. I think these team totals for against the A's are just too low. I've been betting the over on the against the A's like every single day. It often hits. I know I kind of sound like a broken record stacking against the A's, but I just got to say what you think, what you're going to do, and I'm going to be on the Angels once again. Like again, it doesn't work every night, but like even when the stack busts against the A's, it's like 5 or 6 runs. It seems like just about the minimum that you get. And then you get by far the best chance to get 13, 14 slate breaking type performances against this team. It's the reason why you probably, or at least why I want to go cheaper at pitching to get in the big bats here. I mean, it's Trout, Ohtani, obviously at the top, the 2 big ones, but yeah, I think all 9 guys outside of your friend Anthony Rendon, Holden. He's the guy. I don't think I've played him yet, but everybody else I think in this lineup is a pretty solid play.
Even Urshela?
Yeah, he's fine. I mean, I'll use anybody against the A's pretty much outside of – but I'm going to stop talking shit about him because we don't want Anthony Rendon to break the slate, so I won't say anything more. But, yeah, I'm in on the Angels. Think they're going to put up a bunch of runs. This Medina guy, he actually looks like he's got some talent, some decent stuff, but he also has like the super, super high walk rate. He's at like 6 walks per 9 innings in the minor leagues, which, man, if you're putting guys all over the bases, you can't go deep into the game, obviously. I bet he only lasts 3 or 4 innings, probably gives up 3 or 4 runs at least. Then you get into the bullpen. Yeah, I think the Angels put up double-digit runs tonight. So pick the right 5. There's my advice.
Ooh, double digits. 5.5 team total. That's almost out of principle. I can't bet that. That's so difficult. But that also tells you an implied team total of 5.5 means they're in a pretty damn good spot. Mangone, you eating some chalk with the Angels tonight?
Yeah, I just got to figure out how to eat it, right? I mean, you can do 5-man stacks. Like, for instance, if
You're on mute, buddy. Yeah, it was an accidental mute.
I'm talking like an idiot on mute forever. So, but I wanted to talk about how you can eat chalk in baseball, right? Like it's definitely something you're able to do. It's not like, hey, we can't play chalk, but when you play that chalk, you need to think about it is all. And I'm going to the team that won today from our guy, DJ Kafair. He won $50K in baseball. and he played Herman and Kikuchi, right? He won 50K, 28% on 33%. And he ate a lot of chalk with these Blue Jays, right? He played the 28% Vladimir Guerrero. He played Bo Bichette at 25% and Springer at 25%. But what's the key, right? He does have different players mixed in. He has a 5-man stack for the Blue Jays, and it's mixed in with a Milwaukee stack, and he has a 3% play in there, right? He's got a 12% play and a 13% play. You can eat chalk. Just to think about when you play it, how you're going to do it. Like, for instance, one thing he did in his 5-man stack is he played Espinal. Espinal was only 9% owned in that contest and in the 9-hole. So when you build out your lineups, don't go in there and just plug in all of the same, guys on the Angels that everyone's going to plug in, right? Find some ways to make it different. Maybe it's going like a Gio Urshela. Maybe it's going this Theus guy at the catcher, right? Maybe most people don't want to put him in there. I mean, everyone's going to put in Trout and Ohtani, and that's perfectly fine. And you're going to want to have them. But think about how you play the rest of them. That's key. I want to make sure that's something that I'm doing when I'm kind of building out my team. So they're in play. They're good as a 5-man. Really good, I think, as mini stacks too, 2- and 3-man stacks. I'm going to want to play them. But if I play them, I want to pair them up with a contrarian offense. I don't want to pair them up with the chalk team 2 or chalk 3. Or if I do that, maybe I do a combination, which I'm kind of dabbling with right now. How can I make a Drew Smyly and Michael Wacha team work? I mean, how many people are running to the window to play Drew Smyly and Michael Wacha in a game that's 40 degrees and the wind blowing in and trying to just hope that the game gets really nasty and ugly? I mean, I think that's certainly possible. So just think about how you play this Angels team. I am going to play Angels. I'll be posting my core in the Discord chat for the people when it's done. So I'm working on it now. That's another benefit to being a member over at Run Pure Sports. People will just randomly post their cores in there at times. So I'll post my core in there for the people as I kind of figure it out. But I'll definitely have some Angels. I'm just trying to figure out the right mix.
Okay, we've done it. We got times for plays of the day. Where'd we get as far as the likes go? Are we close to your number that you wanted, 225, a hearty total?
We got past the 175 for the plays. We're at 202, which we need 225 if they want swag, but they got to do it fast. I mean, we'll give out our plays of the day. Stacks, I guess we got to do too, and then we'll get on out of here. But I don't know if the people will be able to push it home.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna trust in the public. I think they're going to get us to 225 because they love free shit. 100%. They love free shit.
We'll see.
They're going to hit it for us. The crowd, very good today. Love the size of the crowd, too. So I'm happy with what's going on. DC, I don't know how many stacks you want to give. I'm going to go out on a limb and say the Angels are your favorite.
Yeah, Angels, number 1 for me. I will go with the Phillies. Number 2, they're going to be really low owned, but I think they could do some damage against Gilbert. And Mariners. I would do like that Philly-Seattle game. So, yeah, top 3. Angels by far number 1, and then Philly-Seattle. Maybe a little game stack there if you want to get different.
Mangone, what do you want to do here?
Yeah, I think it's Angels number 1. I'd say the next 2 for me that I really like, and I'm kind of deciding between for my my mini stack, is either the Mets or Seattle. I like both a lot. It seems like the Seattle one's kind of come in second for me, and then third would be Mets. And yeah, that's kind of how I'd round it out.
Give me the Seattle mini tonight. That's going to be my favorite one. The only thing I don't like is playing Suarez. How do you go Suarez against righties? Don't we want to play him against lefties, DC?
He's been hitting well, though, right, DC?
Yeah, he looks pretty good. But, yeah, he is one of the biggest splits guys where he just smashes lefties kind of, his whole career.
He just hasn't had a double-digit performance in like a week and a half, 2 weeks.
But I will say the one thing he's doing that I always like, and maybe DC can back me up on this. If you look at his last 5 games, I mean, he walked in 2 of them, twice in one game, and then walked a couple times in the other. Like, I like when a guy's pretty patient at the time because it feels like they're seeing the ball well when they're that patient. That's just me, though.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. We got plays of the day coming up right now. I know. Does it hurt, DC, to see ping pong play of the day that you are the other person on the other side of that? Does that bother you?
Yes, it does. Yes.
It should.
Yeah, it does.
Mangone, I put your graphic up there. What's your play of the day, buddy?
Yeah, I'm sorry, DC. I will say I'm considering buying a table, so I'll have to have you down maybe sometime. Maybe we could play.
So, lose some more money to you on a ping pong table. This is great.
But my ping pong play of the day, it's simple. It's Jared Kelenic in the 3-hole today. He's been smashing the ball, gets Taijuan Walker. Again, I don't think a lot of people are racing to play the Seattle Mariners. So give me Jared Kelenic as the ping pong play of the day.
All right, let's go. Mom's basement play of the day from DC. What is it?
Yeah, not very often you can get a 2% owned Ronald Acuna Jr., but he'll be super low owned against Sandy. Someone mentioned it in chat. Alcantara, one of the easiest pitchers to run against in all of baseball. Jacob Stallings catching today, one of the worst pitchers throwing out runners. Ronald Acuna running wild this year. 13 steals on the year already. He will steal second and maybe third against Sandy Alcantara if he gets a chance. And Acuna, I mean, if you're watching the Braves, this guy is on a different level right now. So, yeah, I love that super low-owned Ronald Acuna. Just another reason to maybe spend down at pitching today.
All right. I don't have a graphic. 2 reasons. People don't want my plays, and I rarely do free shows. So I'll just throw Snyder's Soldiers up there to make myself look better. It's as simple as that. Give me a little Brandon Drury action tonight. Drury's going to go bananas. Bananas. Do we get our number here, Mangone, or we fall short?
We're at 208. So
so disappointing.
People will not be getting free gear, but that's okay. Better luck next time. They'll have to give it a shot on the next show. But the next show is with maybe JSU, and then we'll give out some premium. Maybe we'll give out the premium.
No, we're not going to. We don't do that very often.
You never know. Hey, Holden,
we give away tickets. We give away tickets, Mangone. When you're a subscriber, if you didn't know this, like our subscribers give out tickets when they have big hits. Our coordinators give out big tickets. I'm not saying that's why you sign up, but it's another awesome benefit.
Holden, I'm just saying, if you suggest on the show today, if you suggest to JSU, hey, last big NBA slate, we had a shipper early in the day,
right?
Good mojo going. Let's give some swag away to a member in the live show chat. I bet JSU's on board to keep like the good mojo flowing and everything. I think it's a good suggestion.
I disagree with you.
Well, I think you should ask, and then
if I ask, he's going to say no. If you ask, maybe you'll say yes. If Tony asks, 50-50.
I think if you ask Holden, I think he says yes.
Okay, I'll ask him today. Possible free swag on the Up the Lock show. If you don't get it, it's JSU's fault.
Yep. And like it says it in the chat. Great idea, man. This guy's short.
All right, DC's been checked out for a couple of minutes. Everybody have a wonderful day. Holden 15.